Considering that India has seen a male-dominated defense service, right? How to one combat gender stereotyping in armed forces? Maybe if you could share from your experiences.
Definitely. Thank you very much. And thanks for this gathering here and the disparity because we combat the enemy across the border. So having said that, the defense forces have always been looking for a soldier, whether it is a man or a woman. So the training, starting with the training to whatever we do in the service, we generally don't see any disparity when it comes to training into the armed forces. Like I would always share this, the bullet or the aircraft or the environment around doesn't know whether it is a man or a woman. So that's how it's been in the Air Force or the Army or the Navy. I can only talk about what's happening in India because we generally tend to travel very little abroad. Nevertheless, thanks to my sporting ability in the sport of skydiving, I could get to see more of other countries and how they look at things. Like again, I'm telling you, the parachute will never know whether it is a man or a woman, and if there is an emergency, it will act similarly. Further, women have to be twice as good as a man to prove that you can take on the physical and mental strength.
Absolutely. I think that deserves more of a thunderous round of applause. So maybe we keep with the same spirit as we move along in this conversation. Taking on the pieces from this question, my next question is to Prajakta. You've been working and representing the Embassy of Netherlands. What is one piece of advice that you would like to give to women who are starting their careers, especially at their early age, as well as once they have started, as they move along with the journey, what are the things that they should keep in mind?
So first up, thank you, Char, for inviting me to this panel. So I think one very critical factor that I would say is important for all people and a little bit more for the women to remember is to believe in yourself. Quite often we come across when we're just starting out in a career, we're thinking, oh, this is new to me. Can I do this? Maybe I'm not adapted to do this. I don't have the skill set to do this. How can I do this? Oh, there are so many people in this room or in a conference room or in a meeting, they know a lot more than me. I don't think I can say something. I don't think I'm allowed to say something. I'm not qualified enough to do this. You have to put all these thoughts at the back burner, and this is especially important for women who generally tend to sort of have an imposter syndrome, as I would like to call it, who believe that they're not good enough to do something. Put it on the back burner and believe in yourself that you can do it. I'll give you a small example of how I've done this a little bit in my work life. When I started working with the Netherlands, maritime was a sector that was one of the top exports from the Netherlands. I had never worked in this field. I always believed that it still is a niche field to be in. I felt maybe it's going to be too technical, maybe it's going to be too complex for me to understand. I've never even been on a ship or a boat or even a jetty, never even visited that. So how am I going to look at this? What I did was, in part of all the conversations that were happening in this sector, I sat at the back, made notes of everything, started reading up on whatever was happening in the world about this particular sector, started learning a little by little, on what Netherlands and India were doing together to bridge this gap. And then, probably after 3, 4, 5 months, I got a little bit of a confidence to make one suggestion in that particular room when I thought people were experts in that particular field. And then I made that first suggestion, got 1% confidence, a little bit more at the next question, a little bit more at the next suggestion. And I feel this is probably one of the few ways that you can continue believing in yourself or just telling all those self-doubts to go away by giving it a little bit more power by knowledge that you acquire.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you very much. Dr. Ramadevi, you've been a member of the Child Welfare Committee at the Government of Telugu. Telangana. And my question to you is specifically on the laws addressing gender issues at the national as well as international level. So maybe if you could throw some light on that.
Thank you, first of all, Woxsen University, Sri Lanka and everyone for inviting us today and be a part of the panel. Primarily, I belong to a judicial body, a quasi-judicial body, which is the Child Welfare Committee, and we generally see the cases relating to children mostly. So, as from the legal background, if I want to throw some light on, at a national level as well as at the national level, gender discrimination is not only limited to national aspect, only India or something like that, but it's an international concern. And primarily, first time this international concern was addressed at the United Nations platform and CEDAW, that is Convention on Elimination of Discrimination Against Women. So this is the first convention which was brought out by United Nations to eliminate all kinds of gender discrimination. So whatever states have given their ratification or consent to this particular convention, they need to make sure that whatever gender discriminations they are having in their particular country needs to be eliminated with either bringing different laws or making amendments to the existing legislation. So this particular convention exclusively focused on 30 articles, sex stereotype mindsets or sex trafficking related aspects, gender pay related aspects, and especially workplace safety was also pointed out in these 30 articles, whatever we are discussing now this time. And these 30 articles need to be imbibed into the domestic legislations of every country, whichever has given the consent. So when did India give consent to this CEDAW convention is in the year 1993, and since then we started making various legislations to eliminate these gender disparities that exist in all spheres. So primarily, as this is a workplace safety related panel or workplace safety concern aspect, the first law we have this sexual harassment laws in IPC, even in the Constitution, which talks about fundamental rights and all, but also a special law is enacted in place which exclusively focuses on working women's safety at workplace, which is Prevention of Sexual Harassment of Working Women 2013 enactment. And this is a wonderful enactment which actually laid down certain civil aspects or civil remedies are provided to the women who are working in the workplace, and a wonderful legislation where the women can come up and go directly approach a particular body that is constituted within the organization and give her complaint there against a male member. So this kind of rules were identified by the judiciary, Indian judiciary in Vishaka's judgment, which is 1997 judgment, where certain guidelines were issued as to how workplace safety should be maintained by a particular organization or institution. So that way, this Vishaka's judgment later on is transformed into POSH Act. In short, we call it as a POSH Act, and we have a wonderful legislation right now. If you want me to just extend two more things about the judicial activism as to how the Indian judiciary has reacted with respect to the gender discrimination elimination aspect. We have Shabarimala's judgment where the women are not actually allowed to enter into the temple. In one particular temple of Shabarimala, women were not allowed. So this was the concern which was put before the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court clearly stated, just on the biological difference, that is just because the woman menstruates, that cannot be the condition which can be imposed to not allow the women from entering into the temple. So this was the judgment which really made a change. And we all know that Josephine Shine's case where adultery was decriminalized. So these way judicial activism has also been a great contribution, made a great contribution in elimination of gender discrimination in India.
Thank you. I think that gives us a very elaborate understanding of how the laws are framing up. Just as a follow-up to this question, the same question, I would like to ask another one, which is the recent verdict by the Calcutta High Court, which held calling darling to a fellow employee as a sexually colored remark. So maybe you could tell us what that is about.
Sure. So basically, 350A section of IPC talks about sexual harassment. And in this particular case, can I just give a short facts about the case? The lady here was a woman constable who was actually stopping the vehicle and issuing challan if the person was not wearing a helmet or breaching the or violating the traffic rules. So in a similar way, she was imposing fine. Challan is something like imposing fine. So she was imposing fine on the violator of traffic rule, and the violator called her, "Yeah, what darling, you have come to cut challan or you have come to impose fine." So there is no relation here, neither between the male or the female person here. So they were unknown to each other, and all of a sudden, this kind of a remark was considered to be sexually colored remark. So most of them may be asking the same question like, what if I know the person and on a friendly note he must have called me darling. So if my friend is coming and calling me like darling, what are you doing? Are you done with your work? I may not take it very offensive, but some unknown person is coming and calling me darling, then I will be surely offended. Why? Because what is needed here in when it comes to sexual related offences or harassment is the impact on the female, not the intention of the accused. What the intention of the accused? See, I just told it on a very casual note. That cannot be the whole thing, right? So what is important here is what is the impact on the woman or the girl here? How did she take the particular situation? So if it has impacted her or her work, then obviously the what if, even though if it is made on a lighter note without any intention on part of the accused, but still will be made liable according to the law. So the same is even mentioned in our caution.
Got it. So I think this is very important for everyone to understand that you need to be very careful when you are in public gatherings, especially when you are making such remarks in workplaces, and that's exactly what we are also discussing about. My next question is to Group Captain Asha. First and foremost, I'd like to share with you that she holds the highest number of skydives by any woman in India. She holds the record for that. So maybe we give a big round of applause for that. She's the youngest and the only woman to jump out of a microlight in 2001, leading the Indian team at Switzerland for the World Military Games, and the only one to unfurl the Indian flag at a height of 10,000 feet during a skydive at Dhaka, Bangladesh on the occasion of Vijay Diwas. So, considering your background, that is not easy. I mean, something like this, to be able to achieve that is not easy. So, I just want to understand from you as a woman, have you faced any difficulties in this journey? And if you could share from your experiences in terms of what led you to achieve that.
Definitely. Having said the highest number of jumps in India, that's because in India, being a woman comes with a lot of responsibility. I wouldn't comment upon other countries, but definitely in India, if you're a woman, your responsibility towards the family, towards children, towards the society, and towards everything takes priority, everything you achieve other than that. So all this honored guests here for achieve something or the other in their lives, it comes with lots of compromise, patience, dedication, and determination. I mean, including sitting here, I know even while she's doing something out there in the college, there's so much of responsibility back home which she needs to take care. So 969 times I jumped out of an aircraft. So every time I jump out of an aircraft, I just pray that I should be alive so that I can take care of my family back home. This is how it is. Skydiving is one of the most dangerous sports in the world. So, for a woman to make a choice, how many would love to skydive here in this hall? Yeah, that's amazing. Some women are not raising their hands because they know they need to take permission from home. So, this is how it is. every time a woman has to do something beyond her normal call of duty, she needs to take stock of all the things that will come as a hindrance or a hurdle for her. So that simple thing of jumping onto the hurdle and taking that step is what makes her achieve these things. And I had a couple of emergencies where I was very close to death. So every time I brushed death, very closely, I used to come back and think, should I continue this sport? Because I don't get paid for this sport, I just do it out of passion. Every time I used to come back and think, and then the entire atmosphere used to say, कि तुम्हारे बच्चे हैं, you shouldn't be doing this, and what is the requirement of doing this? That only that rejection and that thing always pushed me to do something more than what I'm supposed to do. So this is how I think. And having said that, don't compromise in what you're supposed to be doing. Basically, as a woman, with all your responsibilities, that only makes you stronger. Like Dr. Yang has told in her presentation. So these are the things which will always make you a good leader. You do it and show it, and that's how the next generation and the whole world gets inspired.
Truly a motivation for us. Thank you. So maybe again we have a big round of applause for good Captain Asha. In the interest of time, I will just have one last question for Ms. Prajakta, and this is with respect to the workplace environment. So I'm sure in these, testing as well as exciting times, there's been a lot of upheavals post-COVID, economy-wise, different sectors, how things have unfolded, right? Not just in, pharmaceutical or healthcare or the other industries, but I think it's irrespective of industries. People face challenges, right? I'm sure you have also faced challenges in your career. So if you could share with us, what have been the challenges that you face as a woman in your organization and how you've been able to very victoriously come out?
Thanks. I think I'll put it on a more positive note and get on a little bit more details in a bit. I think the only way to overcome any challenge is to have your support system around you. No matter where it is, whether it is in your workplace, your friends, or whatever, you need to have that support system. So post COVID, and also as you know, last year we were hosting the G20 presidency. We and Netherlands was a partner country. We've been welcoming people, ministers, businesses. Post COVID, everybody showing a very high amount of interest in India. We're welcoming quite high numbers of people coming just to Hyderabad, not across India, just to Hyderabad. What that ended up having, or rather the way it affected us and workplace was we were constantly on the go, welcoming one guest after the other. It is no different, to be honest, than being at an event every single day where you are the organizer and going over and above and beyond and giving it your 400% every single day. What I realized is I can't do it all on my own. I'm not a superwoman, neither would I want to be one. To balance home, work in all 100% capacity as well as willingness in which I want to do things. What I did was look to my team and ask them to support. I didn't feel shy in asking for support, whether it is at work or whether it is at home or anything. Simple task. Listen, I think I have to get this done. Why this time? Can you help me do this? I've done the basic work. Can you support me in that? And the team comes up and helps you. And I think that's one of the biggest takeaways of overcoming any challenge, your support system.
Absolutely. I think all of us need a support system to move forward in our journeys, whether be it your partners or your family members, extended family members, your friends. I think each one has a role to play in our life. And I'm sure with stories which are quite unique in its, by its very nature, I think we have lots to learn. So thank you very much once again, Group Captain Asha, Dr. Ramadevi and Ms. Prajakta for your insights. And with that, I would like to pass it on to the MCs.